Happy Halloween! This seems like a good time to talk about your fears. I know, you're super excited, right? You're thinking, yes, I really want to talk all about my fears. But can I just say, isn't it interesting how many of us are ruled by our fears, and yet when Halloween comes around, we're all like, yes, I will watch a scary movie. Yes, I will pay to go to the cinema and be frightened to bits. But don't go asking me to go stepping outside my comfort zone and doing something that might change my life. I am not interested in that kind of scariness. Humans are funny sometimes. But here's the interesting thing you need to know about fear. Your brain has not evolved in the same way that your environment has. So you have a primitive brain walking around in the modern day world. And back in our cavewoman days, it was useful to be afraid of things. You needed to size up how you fitted in with those around you, make sure you weren't left out of the group. You needed to be scared of what was hiding out there in the woods and worried about whether those berries were the ones that were safe to eat or not. Being fearful literally kept you alive. And today, fear is still useful for when we're in genuinely dangerous situations. But that is the only time that fear serves us. And nowadays, with our warm homes and running water and Uber Eats, most of us aren't in many dangerous situations. Most of the things that we are afraid of are not dangerous at all. We're afraid of being embarrassed. We're afraid of trying and failing at something like quitting drinking. We're afraid of being vulnerable or being judged or going after what we really want. These are not things that we genuinely need to be afraid of to save our lives, but that fear prevents us from doing things that might dramatically improve our lives. When you look at most people's fears around alcohol-free living, when you really boil it down, what it tends to come back to is that most people are afraid of experiencing a feeling that they think will be unpleasant. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. But what even is a feeling? Well, it's actually just a vibration in your body, and it can be helpful to remember that. And like I said right at the start of this video, sometimes we choose to be in situations where we're going to experience quote unquote bad feelings like uncertainty, horror, dread, fear. So perhaps those feelings aren't quite as unmanageable as we like to think. If you've got some fears around sobriety, I recommend you just take a minute and get clear on what exactly it is that you're afraid of. And then think about how different things would be if you weren't afraid. So if you weren't afraid of being judged or screwing it up or feeling deprived or being awkward, whatever it is for you, if you weren't afraid of that thing, how could this all be different for you? When we make decisions from our fears, things rarely turn out very well. Instead, what we actually do is we get a slow drip of exactly the thing that we're afraid of. So for example, if you keep saying, I'm so afraid that I'll try to quit and fail and then I'll feel awful, so I'm not even going to try, then all that happens is that you carry on drinking and you carry on waking up feeling awful. Do you see? By not taking action, you end up feeling terrible anyway. By not taking action, you imprison yourself in the exact same feelings that you are fearful of. Nothing good ever comes from sitting around thinking about your fears and all the reasons why you can't do something. Nothing. You want to just start noticing that useless thinking and then start turning the volume up on thoughts that make you feel a bit better instead. I mean, this is exactly what you do in other areas of your life. I bet that when you apply for that job or go for that promotion or try that new thing or learn something new, I bet you're full of fear then, but your focus is always on, well, what if this works out? What if it's worth the risk? So let me ask you this. What would you do next if you knew that everything was going to work out okay in the end? If you knew everything was going to work out in your favour, what would you do about your drinking? I like this question. I like it because it gets you making decisions from the right place. Please don't let your fears stop you from going after what you want. There is no one in the world who achieved something big or great or amazing who started out thinking, yep, I can totally do this. It's a very rare bird who begins something major and feels 100% motivated and confident. So don't delay an alcohol-free lifestyle just because you have some doubts or some fears. Start when you're scared. Start now. All right, I'm Kate B. Let me know in the comments below what your relationship is with fear and sobriety right now, and if that's shifted for you at all. I hope you have a great week, and I'll speak to you again soon.